Fines on wearing political statements. Perhaps the least surprising entry on our list, as according to the NFL rulebook, players are banned from displaying personal messages, including political ones, on game day, be it on helmets, jerseys, or even hats, unless pre-approved by the league. The NFL explicitly prohibits messages tied to political causes, campaigns, or non-football events, aiming for a neutral, professional vibe. Violators face fines starting at $11,255 for a first offense, like when 49ers Nick Bosa was fined in 2024 for wearing a Make America Great Again hat during a post-game interview. The rules sparked debate, with some saying there were double standards compared to past protests like Colin Kaepernick's kneeling. Can't be too fat. One of the lesser-known realities in the NFL is that players can actually be fined for being too fat. While there isn't a universal fat limit written into the official rulebook, teams regularly include weight clauses in player contracts, especially for offensive and defensive linemen. These clauses set a maximum weight that the player must stay under during the season, and if they go over, they can be fined thousands of dollars per pound. The history behind this comes down to performance and health. When a player's weight gets out of control, it can affect their stamina, increase injury risk, and slow them down. Coaches and team nutritionists started pushing for these weight clauses in the 1990s and 2000s, and they've become common ever since. Some contracts even include scheduled weigh-ins, with fines ranging from $500 to $1,000 per pound over the limit. Players like Albert Haynesworth and Eddie Lacy famously struggled with these rules. Over-celebration. In 2004, Terrell Owens pulled a Sharpie from his sock after scoring a touchdown, signed the ball, and tossed it to the crowd. However, this legendary move earned him a $10,000 fine from the league. The NFL's no excessive celebration rule also punished Chad Ochocinco for donning a fake Hall of Fame jacket in 2009. Over-the-top behaviors include Randy Moss's mock mooning gesture, Joe Horn hiding a cell phone in the goalpost to call his mom, and group dances like the Redskins' Fun Bunch high-fiving in sync, each of which earned penalties or fines. The rule's origins trace to the 1960s when celebrations were rare, and the NFL wanted to maintain a serious image to compete with baseball's mainstream appeal. By 1984, moves from players like Billy White Shoes Johnson prompted the taunting rule to restrict unsportsmanlike conduct. The 1990s tightened the screws as celebrations grew wilder, with the NFL banning props in 2006 to keep games focused. Can't punch a loose ball. In the NFL, players are not allowed to intentionally bat or punch a loose ball in any direction, especially if it's done to manipulate the outcome of a play. This rule came into the spotlight in 2015 when Seahawks linebacker K.J. Wright deliberately batted a fumble out of the end zone. Normally, people think of fumbles and recoveries as chaotic free-for-alls, but if you deliberately swat the ball out of bounds, say, to prevent the opposing team from recovering it, it's a penalty. This rule exists to preserve fairness and discourage players from using intentional, unnatural actions to control possession. If a ball is loose, you're supposed to recover it, not redirect it like a volleyball. If a player illegally bats the ball, it can result in a loss of down, yardage, or even possession, depending on the situation. It's one of those odd technicalities that rarely comes up, but when it does, it changes games. Super Bowl trademark. The NFL owns the trademark to Super Bowl, and it aggressively defends it, which means businesses, advertisers, and even YouTubers have to use awkward substitutes like the big game or the big Sunday matchup. It's weirdly powerful for just 2 words, but the NFL treats it like sacred property because it brings in billions, so I kinda empathize with them. Just a few years after the first championship game in 1969, the league secured the Super Bowl trademark. Since then, the NFL has gone after companies big and small for unauthorized use, even if they're just trying to sell chips or TVs with a casual Super Bowl sale ad. The words are not banned outright as you can say them in conversation or commentary, but once they're used in a way that suggests sponsorship or is tied to making money, the NFL steps in. Even bars and restaurants have gotten cease and desist letters for advertising Super Bowl viewing parties without permission. The rule when the entire team dies. Here's a really dark NFL rule for a scenario no one ever wants to think about. What happens if an entire team dies? If a disaster wipes out most or all of a team, the NFL commissioner has the authority to take appropriate actions, including potentially restocking the team with players from other teams or even holding a special draft. This rule stems from real-world fears that first became serious during the Cold War, when concerns about plane crashes, terrorist attacks, or natural disasters prompted sports leagues to draft contingency plans. The NFL formalized its version as part of its disaster recovery plan, which outlines what to do if a team loses a significant number of players. If fewer than 15 players are lost, the team can rebuild using free agents and practice squad players. But if the disaster is severe enough, like a plane crash that wipes out the starting roster, the commissioner can intervene and reshape the team through a special draft involving other franchises. Fines for social media posts during drug testing. Under the NFL's updated Substances of Abuse and Performance-Enhancing Substances policies, which came into effect in December 2024, players face a $15,000 fine for recording and posting the drug test process on social media. This includes sharing images of the test notification slip, text messages with testers, or content from the testing room. The rule aims to protect the privacy of test administrators and maintain the integrity of the testing process.